Mr. Braceras, Arkansas recently had, I started to say significant, but it was record-breaking floods, both in height and just the force of the water. Tremendous damage, lots of damage to the infrastructure. The good news is, like Utah, Arkansas is working very hard, and they're going to recover. Great leadership in our state and all of those kind of things. I guess what I'd like to do is, and again, so many of our states have gone through this lately. You experienced it, I believe, in 2015 in that area. Tell us what you learned, how you built back and mitigated perhaps from future floods, so that, you know, to help in that regard.
Yes, thank you, Senator, for the question. I think one thing that all state DOTs excel at is responding to emergencies and disasters. The men and women that work at these departments are amazing people.
They do tremendous.
And they just do a great job responding to that. I think the partnership that we have with our contracting industry and our consulting industry was key to our ability to respond. We have limited staff, as every DOT does, and when a disaster happens, whether it be flooding, whether it be avalanches that we deal with, or lately some massive forest fires, we rely on our partnerships with our consultants to help give us the answers, and for our contractors to respond 24/7 to emergency contracting proposals. I would say that the challenge isn't over once the public thinks we've mitigated the danger and we got the roads back open. I think that's the time when we need to step back and we need to think about what are we going to do to help this facility be more resilient to this type of occurrence in the future. And that's something all the DOTs are working on right now. I just picked up yesterday, I was up in Delaware, attending the NASHDO conference, and a document that we're putting out with the help of TRB, Transportation Research Board, is it's for all DOT directors talking about resilience, a DOT imperative, what we can do to help make our systems better prepared for this changing environment.
In regard to the federal government response, what did you learn in that regard? Are there some things that we can do better?
You know, first of all, we are blessed in Utah with the partnership we have with our division administrators. I think that's one really important lesson when you look at US DOT and even some of the other federal agencies. The Federal Highway Administration, that modal administrator, has people, employees on the ground in every state. And what we do is we develop these working relationships with them that allow us to get things done. And so when an emergency happens, they are one of the first people we contact, and they're working shoulder to shoulder with our employees, because if we're going to be turning around and asking the federal government to help us either through emergency relief or through FEMA funds to help pay back some of the money that we've had to lay out there, and we basically pull it from other projects, much needed projects, we need to do the right things. We need to document things in the right way, and that's one thing that they do really well. That process could probably be streamlined a little bit. The ability to be able to incorporate more resilient features with the use of some of that emergency money, I think would be a much better investment for the public right now. Pretty much we can replace what's there in kind, and that's not sometimes the smartest thing to do with the public's investment.
Mr. Cooney, Arkansas is a small state, but we're blessed with a thriving trucking industry, and I believe we have 5,000 trucking companies. Of those, 90% operate with 20 or fewer trucks. So we got the bigs and the littles. The transportation industry is critical to our state and critical to the nation. Tell us about the impact if we don't take care of the infrastructure, what that does to the economy, and then also what it does to the trucking industry in regard to wear and tear and the cost in that regard.
Sure. Well, one dramatic instance that I know of where the trucking industry and not taking care of our infrastructure came together was in 2013 when a truck hit the Skagit River Bridge north of Seattle and collapsed that bridge into the river. My company did the permanent replacement of that on an emergency design build, but that was a very dramatic instance of a substandard bridge, too low, the cross members arched down, the truck was in the wrong lane and hit it and down it went. So
the only great example there was the fact that they rebuilt it in a year, And if they had had, again, not skirting any issues in regard to safety, but everybody working together as opposed to, probably 10 or 20 years.
Well, so there was one company put up the temporary bridges in about a month, and we did the permanent replacement in 88 days.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
it's
were way
amazing.
short of a year.
Oh, yeah, no. So why can't we do that? That's
Well, that was obviously an emergency. It's Interstate 5. It was the main north-south corridor for the state of Washington. But you're right. I mean, every agency came together to make that happen, from federal agencies right down to the Dike District that we had to get access over their levee to get to the site. And everyone was absolutely committed and focused. And when you do that, I wouldn't say that's possible in every job, but this is a pretty extreme example. But it definitely worked there.
Thank you.